Recording. So I am so thrilled to be in this very place at this very moment. I've never held a session like this before, but my name is Victoria Turner. I am the creator of Your Power Outlet, and my whole purpose for this platform is to be an outlet that women can plug into to generate the results that they want at work and in life. And my true belief is that we are the biggest obstacles standing in our own way of the success that we want for ourselves. And how do we get out of our own way? And I believe that we have so much to learn from each other and to leverage from experiences. So yes, from an expert, I'm an expert coach, but I think that collectively as a group, we have so much to benefit when we actually ask for what we need and hear how others navigate or have overcome or achieve whatever the results is that we are looking for. So I have a few notes just to make sure that we stay online. I promise we will be no later than 1 hour. And my whole thing is that I got quite clear on my goals and what it is that I want to accomplish for the year. Did you guys have a chance to, or who did not have the opportunity to go through the success wheel?
It's Leanne. I downloaded the worksheets before the meeting and I scanned them, but I have not completed them.
And Leanne, thank you. There's no worry or pressure in that respect. So I don't know how you guys end up getting the worksheets, but I guess there was a flaw in my automated system. So we all live and learn. We're grateful that you're here. But I too have gone through the same worksheets that you guys do. And the irony is that I've actually done them 3 times since the beginning of the year, because I found with already just my success wheel and changing my goals, because I found when I got clear on the specifics that I wanted to do, when I actually did them, then that's moving them off of my to-do list and I can put another goal in there. So just getting clear on what was so important for me to achieve over the next year has been so helpful. And I wanted to create this platform for all of us to inspire each other to take action, because this, for example, is a bold action. I've never done this before. There are huge complications in getting people here. I know some people probably didn't even receive the information that they needed, but none of us are perfect. And if we all waited for perfection, it wouldn't happen. So this whole power hour is about showing up authentically. Nobody's pretending they have it all figured out. And because we are a small enough group, I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to share and then really to ask for what you need based on achieving what it is you need to achieve your goals. And collectively as a group, we can leverage each other's experiences. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we take a moment and share who is here. So Erin, do you want to go first and just share who you are, if you're working, are you working?
Yes.
Yeah, so what your business is and what you love most about what you do.
Okay.
And we're just keeping it tight. This is not our TED Talk, your 15 minutes of fame. We'll just keep it tight.
Hi, everyone. I'm Erin. And I have just launched a new company making aprons for restaurants or other businesses. And I love solving problems and connecting with people and making beautiful things that people enjoy and can use.
And Erin, what's your company called?
Apronology.
Cool. Well, welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
We're so glad you're here. All right. Well, thank you. And sorry, go ahead. Oh my gosh, Sherry. Is that your name?
Corin.
Corin, sorry. Sorry,
Okay.
Corin.
That's no problem. I am a theater professional. I work at McGill University. That's my, regular job.
Yeah.
I am passionate about theater. I'm passionate about teaching. I love it. It doesn't pay the bills very well. So I have recently started my own business with a mutual friend of ours, Sylvia Walker, and I am an Arbonne consultant.
Welcome.
And I love that as well.
Welcome. And I'm wearing actually all Arbonne. Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you. It's Arbonne because I had cystic acne growing up and I could do a whole testimonial about your product, but that's okay.
Awesome. Amazing.
Wonderful. Well, welcome. Okay, go ahead, Leanne. We'd love to hear.
Sure. I'm Leanne, and I've spent majority of my career in human resources, and my passion in HR is more around organizational development and talent development. So if you ask me, what do you like most about your job, it'd probably be connecting with people and watching them succeed and grow into future positions, and that just realizing that they can do these things. So that's me. I worked for a lot of years at Staples in their Canadian head office. Then I worked for Tim Hortons in their corporate head office, and then they got bought out by a company called 3G Capital and went through that process with them. And then now I work at Magna.
Well, we're so glad that you're here, and welcome. And so the whole today's Power Hour is all about goal setting, how to do what matters for 2016, because it's so often we set our intentions and then, a week, a month, a year may go by and you look back and you're like, oh shoot, none of what was really important to me actually changed, or I didn't prioritize those things. So this call is all about taking the time to share what it is that's going to keep you from achieving the goals that you wrote down on your success wheel, and putting it out there. So I would love, because I know when I sat down, the reason I created the success wheel in the first place was when I sat down, even this year with my family, my mom was there as well. I have 3 children, 10, 8, and 6. And we all sat down to do some goal setting, and it was so wonderful to see what my children came up with, because I never went through that exercise when I was growing up. I didn't even know you could dream and it not be with arrogance. So there are so many messages that I learned from my past that really kept me playing small. But nonetheless, I know when I sat down just to start spelling off the goals that I wanted to achieve for myself, the list was kind of typical. But I know that I want to have an exceptional life in lots of different ways. And when I realized, when I was just writing down the goals that came to mind, I was only acknowledging a few aspects of my life. But when I took the time to acknowledge all the aspects of my life, all the things that actually matter to me to make me feel successful, joyful, accomplished, there were so many more. And that is why I created the whole success wheel idea, so that we can really acknowledge all the aspects. And it's so key to keep that visual on your desk or in your day planner or whatever you use as a constant reminder of your priorities, because you don't have somebody that's going to be tapping on the shoulder reminding you to do what is you say you want to do. So my whole premise, my whole coaching practice, my whole business is all about using visual reminders to remind us of something intentional, so that the time you've already invested in creating that visual success wheel, you can maybe even want to redo it and make it something that is beautiful, or use it in what I was going to do. We've been coloring with our family, just those really beautiful coloring books, not the juvenile ones. And I was thinking of cutting my success wheel out, putting it on one of those coloring pages, and then making, spending my time, if that's how you might spend your time, but just making it something visual appealing. Maybe this works for you, Erin, because it seems like you're creative, and maybe you as well. But nonetheless, you're a visual tool. So it would be such a disservice for you to have invested your time and energy to create your plan and then to shelve it and to not have it near you. So that is step number 1, is even just having it in plain view. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. And so what I would love to give you guys the opportunity is to share what is one of the goals that you have prioritized over the next month, and what is going to stop you from achieving that goal. And then asking what you need help with, and then we'll go from there, and you'll see how it will evolve. And please feel free to share whatever experiences that come up for you. It doesn't have to be me that's doing all the answering. So who would like to go first? We're sharing a goal.
It's Leanne. I can go first.
Awesome, Leanne.
We have 2 boys. We have a 9-year-old and 6-year-old, and we actually did the same exercise that you did.
Oh.
So, yeah, my husband and I, we sit down. We used to do this as a couple before we had kids, and now we do it with the kids, where you have to think back on your year and write down what your biggest accomplishments were and what you're most proud of. And so that's the looking back, and then the looking forward is what do you want to accomplish this year.
Yeah.
So the lists are really neat to see what the kids come up with, but we did our own. And one of mine was, it starts off a little vague. It's just to feel and look healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So, walking around feeling absolutely exhausted. So, and then I said, okay, what do I need to do to feel and look healthy? And I talked about 2 to 3 bottles of water per day. This is a starter, because you're probably supposed to have more, but that's a start for me. Prioritizing sleep, prioritizing more balance in the diet, and then doing the treadmill 4 times a week.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And
yeah.
And?
And And what's in my way is basically me, because I have very type A workaholic kind of tendencies, and that extends to wanting the house in order all the time, and wanting work tied up in a bow all the time. And I have a global role, so we're dealing with all different time zones and things. So it's me managing my own expectations, which I'm trying to kind of get more conscious about and tune into a little more. And we actually made the decision that we're getting a nanny, a live-out nanny, which is a huge, huge change for me. But I think that will help to free up some time to do other things rather than just all the logistical stuff that needs to happen to running a household.
So I hear a lot of self-awareness. And so what in the past, so your type A tendency, does that mean you just don't do any of it, or you're able to do some of it?
It means that I'll prioritize work over, say, hitting the treadmill for the 45 minutes. Or, you know, laundry will need to be done, and I'll prioritize that because the kids will need something for sports, though. It's just the prioritization where I'll place the value on the time. And I'll just always place myself, or this sort of thing, last. And it needs to be reprioritized that way.
Right. Well, what's the impact for you of 1 year from now if nothing changes?
Well, I can tell you, because between Tim Hortons and Magna, I had a few months off, and I got back into running. I dropped 20 pounds. I was running every day when I dropped the kids off after school. I actually had time to be outside. And I can tell you, from an energy perspective and from just a holistic health perspective, I felt like $1,000,000.
Yeah.
And then now, having been back at work for several months and going back into the workload and all the rest, I can see it all receding. So I know what the difference is in terms of feeling.
Yeah. And how important is it to you to feel that way again?
Oh, I would think once you've experienced that feeling, you kind of crave it back, because that becomes your new normal. So now it's like I'm not in my normal.
Yeah. And so a question that comes up is why don't you matter?
Are you asking me, or is this philosophical?
No, question. Why?
Oh.
Why? Yeah.
I think, you know, it's interesting. It's just more, for me, the way I reflected on it was you were able to create the time when you didn't have this full-time job, you know, and now that you have this full-time job, why does the reprioritization happen automatically, right? So how do you make it work despite being tied up for 10 hours a day, you know, Monday through Friday?
Yeah, totally. So I'd love to ask the group, what, do you guys have any experiences? How do you guys make things work with, because everybody's life is full, no matter how many kids you have or how many titles or roles, we can all fill our lives, right? And so putting it out there, let's share, how do you guys do it?
Well, I have 3 children, 7, 11, and 15. And I so relate to what you're saying, Leanne. In fact, my goal number 1 was committing to a healthier me, because I totally identify with everything you say, and usually prioritize everybody else's needs above my own. So one of the things which I've been doing for about a year, and it's made a big difference to my maybe not my physical self, but my psychological self, is that I get up earlier. Now, I already have to get up at 6:30 for the children. So now I get up at 5 a.m. and I spend an hour, and that hour is just for me. And I listened to a training by Jack Canfield, who talked about the power hour and spending 20 minutes on 3 things. So 20 minutes on exercise, 20 minutes on personal growth, and 20 minutes on spirituality. I think you could probably take those and put them into whatever categories you wanted. And so I have tried at least 5 days a week, if not 7 days a week, to make getting up at 5 a.m. a priority. And I cannot say that it is always easy or that I want to do it, but I've been doing it for such a while now that I actually feel the benefits. Like, I would be sad if I didn't get up and spend that time just with myself, doing something for myself before you know, the 6:30 craziness which happens, which I'm sure happens in your world as well.
Yeah, totally. I love that idea. What, it's called the Power Hour?
Yeah, I mean, he called it the Power Hour, and that just kind of resonated with me. And I like the idea. So I am also type A, and the idea that I could kind of compartmentalize things. So I could do, and spirituality can be yoga, it can be meditation, it can be, you know, reading the Bible, or, you know, you can interpret that however you want. Exercise for me, making a commitment was really hard, feeling like I get home at night, the last thing I want to do is go out and run. And running in the morning I would like to do, but actually it's cold and it's dark and it's a little scary to go by myself.
Yeah.
And I can come up with a ton of reasons why not to. So this for me was manageable. 20 minutes on the treadmill, or we have an elliptical thing, whatever. I could do that. I put on Downton Abbey so that I got little snippets of Downton Abbey, and I didn't allow myself more. And it motivated me every day to find out what was happening. But my rule for myself was you can only watch Downton Abbey if you're on the elliptical trainer. So that worked for me.
Awesome.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. Erin,
I'm so glad.
yeah. Well, that's a beautiful thing about just sharing our own experiences. People can take away the aspects that resonate with them, and there's no judgment. You should be getting up at 5 a.m. is a very different, right, than just sharing what was in it for you. So that's awesome. Erin, do you have anything that you want to add?
Oh yeah, sure. I completely relate to both of you. I have a son, and I also put myself last, and I asking the question, why don't you matter? It's because there's a billion other things to do, but that idea of the Power Hour sounds, to start out your day like that sounds amazing. I tend to try and catch up at night and end up staying up too late and tired, and then the day doesn't help. Yeah, that overwhelm is it's quite the opposite of empowering.
Right, overwhelming, yeah. Well, and that's what and what's so wonderful to know is that our lives are based on habit. So I call it on autopilot. So just doing things over and over again, whether it's in our responses or how we respond to something or our actions or whatever. So it's awesome to think about the fact that this is just creating a new habit. And whether that's waking up at 5 a.m. or maybe it's also, there's an opportunity for you, Leanne, is that it's not about doing it all within 1 week. So where would it maybe add value to you to give yourself permission to focus on one of those for a week and then integrating another one, or just, it's not everything all at once. Would that maybe serve you?
For sure, because then it wouldn't be overwhelming and stressful, right? It would be more, if I added one thing. I like this 5 a.m. idea, and if you add that and you just make that a commitment, I think then you'd feel some achievement, and then you'd get more momentum, right?
Yeah. And if 5 a.m. doesn't work, I mean, I don't wake up at 5 a.m. I set my power hours. It's so interesting because I often, where my habits haven't come in, or I really set these for my work to move my dial on work, because I realize retrospectively, I've already set power hours for my health. So I do meet a friend in the morning at 6:15 twice a week. And I know she's there waiting for me, so I'm not going to let her stand out in the cold. So it's just, once you have a new habit, then you don't even have to look at it as a power hour. Now you can create new power hours for the other aspects of your success wheel also. And it literally is, because we all know whose life is dictated by their calendar, right? And especially other people's priorities. I mean, Leanne, I'm sure your meeting calendar is chock-a-block and you would never miss a meeting with a client or an employee or your doctor's appointment for your kids. So there's so much value I find in my life is putting it in my calendar, my power hours, and protecting those. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so what is one action that you want to be held accountable to doing even over the next week? And you can check in, send an update on Facebook saying done, or this is what I did, or just trusting that other people. The irony is, like, everybody's in the same boat on this call, right? We are not alone, and we are all looking for other ways to do things. So what kind of commitment do you want to be held accountable to over the next week doing something, or over the next month? What would serve you?
No, I like the idea of getting up. It'll be 5 or 5:15.
Yeah.
And getting on the treadmill for that 30 minutes. And then maybe won't be 5 days in the week, but maybe I can commit to at least doing it 3 times in
Awesome.
the week, and then getting some commitment there.
And do you want to commit to the 3 days? Which are the days that work for you?
It depends. Well, it'd be weekdays that are better, and then if I do weekends, then those are just bonus.
Right. And the specificity is so key to actually getting things done. Because if you can say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, if you get more specific, then that's really in service to you.
I would do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday.
Awesome. Well, what day are we today? We're Wednesday. I would love to hear from you girls. Would you girls I trust that we would love to hear how it goes. So check in on Facebook and let us know.
Sure.
Our Facebook. Awesome. Well, hooray. Can't wait to hear. Thank you. Who would like to go next in sharing their goal and what's going to stand in their own way? How they're going to stand in their own way?
I'll go next.
Okay.
You asked for goal 1 and goal 2.
Yeah. Which one do you want to, you can share both and then share what do you need help with?
Everything. So it was really hard, actually. I found it really challenging to just write down 2 goals. Like I felt like I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to do this and I want to do that. And
Can I ask a question? Can I ask,
yeah.
When you have so many things that you want to do, then what typically happens?
My personality is that I would work on each one, but not necessarily, but try and accomplish them all.
Right.
I feel a great sense of failure, and like I'm disappointing people. Oh, I knew this was going to make me cry.
Oh, it's not a normal day in my world if people aren't crying, and it is. There's no judgment. It just is here. So.
Yeah, I mean, fear of failure and fear of disappointing, I think other people, more so even than myself, really motivates me to always be trying to be working on something, whether it's McGill, whether it's my Arbonne career, my children, my volunteering, my marriage, whatever it is. I feel like I have a lot of goals in each one of those sections.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the logic side of me recognizes while I might see progress, I don't necessarily reach my goal because I'm not spending a concerted amount of effort on that particular goal because I've got so many. And I think also then I reach a sort of a breaking point, and kind of like that volcano, like that emotional eruption which happens. And then I usually get back on track again, but I would say that that's typically what has happened.
Yeah, well, it's like doing the same, my mother, I hear her voice, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome is setting yourself up for, quote unquote failure. So the feelings that you experience. So what about just being open to trying something new for 1 month?
Yeah.
How would it benefit you just to say, give yourself permission to say, this is my month that I'm just going to honor and acknowledge this one priority. The truth is, it's not like you're going to let everything else, puff away. You're going to ignore your family. It has nothing to do with that, but just trusting that you're going to try to move the dial on one thing. Do you think that may be of service, trying something new?
Yep.
What kind?
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. And that's the thing, I remember when I was first starting I now realize, when I first started building a business, I'm always focused so hard on it. And I literally kill it in a really bad way, not kill it in a good way. And because I don't honor my entire success wheel, I am so focused on one aspect of it that I let everything else go away. And it became really obvious a couple of years ago. I only started running again a couple of years ago. And when I wasn't running, I was robbing myself of so many opportunities. And maybe this resonates with you, Leanne. When I was not giving myself that space and prioritizing and honoring my health, I was robbing myself of the opportunity to think creatively, to think outside of the box, I realized running fuels so many other aspects of my life. But when I thought, being driven by a fear of failure and a desire to succeed, I was so focused on just succeeding. But the irony is that I was actually cutting my source of, inspiration, power, empowerment. I was literally robbing myself of so many of the aspects that I would benefit if I allowed myself to just give myself some space and to focus on other things. Does that resonate with you? Yeah.
Me, definitely.
Yeah. So what is one of the goals that you would like to prioritize for this month? Or you can say the next 2 weeks. It's up to you. But putting it out there, we're going to dare you to do it.
To the next level of management in my company.
So and is this over the next month?
I would love to achieve it over the next month.
Okay, but that's the beautiful thing about setting goals, guys, is that it's not necessarily achieving that goal, but clarity on where you're going enables you to identify the actions that are going to position you to be achieving that. So just because you don't achieve it, within a week, 2 weeks, a month, it doesn't mean that you're not working towards that. And I think that's been one of the biggest lessons I've learned in growing my own business and just in life, is that the element of time is so obnoxious because we can't control it. And it absolutely is a variable in our health, wellness, business, all these things. Everything takes time, and we have to give space to that for things for it to happen. Because the other thing is, I know sometimes I get disappointed that I don't achieve the results that I want. But the irony is that when I do finally, the outcome is so much better, because had it happened earlier on, it wouldn't have been as rich or as meaningful or as effective or impactful or all those kinds of things. So it's giving yourself permission to trust that time plays a factor in all of this that we're doing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So what is going to stand in your way then to get to the next level in your management? The next level of management?
I think time. Definitely. Carving out time to do the work is challenging with an already busy schedule. I think managing rejection is a big, it's going to pop up.
It's okay.
I think managing rejection. Is that
totally.
Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. There's no right or wrong, but it's
I kind of know that, but you know what I mean?
Right. So it's about being clear on what's going to stop you. And then when you're clear on that, then you can take action and do something differently. And so do you guys, Leanne or Erin, do you have any suggestions for managing rejection and the time?
I could have said everything that you just said as well. And rejection, I mean, I try to tell myself in a rational way, what is the worst thing that can happen? If somebody says no, someone's not going to attack you, or, if I try to tell myself that. And I also have the same issue, the fear of rejection. And one of my goals is to have at least 3 meetings a day for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, good for you.
And for the same reason, there's the time. I end up, because that's the part that I'm afraid of, I end up keeping myself busy with a whole bunch of other things. And then I'm like, oh, well, I've run out of time. I guess I can't do that today. But that is the most important thing for me to be doing.
Yeah.
Fear of rejection. Lots of reasons. Making other things priority.
So I have 2 suggestions to both of those, because obviously they resonate with both of you. So that whole time thing, it's about applying a power hour into your work week. So what would delight you, Corin, in the span of a 5-day work week? Maybe it's three times a week for 1 hour. You put in a block into your schedule. If you had to go for a doctor's appointment or something that was so important to do 3 times a week, you would prioritize that and everything else could wait. What would change if you literally carved out 1 hour and all you were allowed to do in that time was action that was going to move your dial on your goal? The only thing in that hour is moving. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, without question, that makes a difference. And that is something that I do already. I commit to 1.5 to 2 hours every day, or trying to find 15 minutes within my day because this really is a priority. It's really, and I feel similar to what you said earlier, where you feel like you're killing it because you're like, I feel like 75% of my brain right now is thinking about this goal and how I'm going to achieve it and who's the next person that I'm going to reach out to. And it's just constantly there.
How much of that time that you're carving out is busy work over priority work?
When I sit down at the computer or telephone or whatever it is contacting people. It's not surfing Facebook. It's not doing that sort of thing. The reality of making phone calls is that not very many people answer their phones. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of leaving messages and waiting for a call back and trying to keep notes on who I've called so I don't call them 50 million times.
Yeah.
But I'm very conscientious about working efficiently within that time.
Okay, so then you talk about time being a goal. Are you looking to expand the number of hours you work on that, or how does time factor into your goal then? If I'm hearing that you're really productive when you're working.
I think the nature of my business is that I can be productive and busy myself, but my success depends on the response that I receive.
Yeah.
So
that's something you can't control. You can only control your output.
Yeah.
So your goal, I'm just trying to help you here because you say your goal is time, or sorry, what's going to impact you is time. But maybe there's
not.
What's that?
But maybe it's not.
Maybe it's not, but maybe there's an opportunity. I mean, if you go into, because none of us are experienced in network marketing, but there are opportunities to explore different tactics that you can use to help generate different results. Because doing the same thing over and over again, and hoping for something to change, although you have to put consistent intentional action behind whatever it is that we do, but maybe there's an opportunity to do it differently.
Okay.
But your managing rejection is a huge variable that everybody faces. And what really was in service or has changed for me and my ability to sell is that I realized it has nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. I have something to offer. I have a gift to offer, and nobody can receive the gift unless you share it. But if they say no to the gift, just like when I receive something I don't really care for from my sister for Christmas, I may not need it in that moment, and so I may say no, thank you, or whatever. I shouldn't even make this metaphor. Okay. The truth is that it has nothing to do with us. And we can only give it and offer and be of service. This is what helps me, that I'm being of service. I need to let people know it's there. And if it's not right for them, it's not right for them for so many reasons potentially. And none of them have to do with us. Mm-hmm. And it's knowing that. And there is an opportunity. I feel like I have on my website, on yourpoweroutlet.com, there is on the events tab, there's a free training called, I feel like there's an opportunity, or maybe it's not on that. Oh, nonetheless, there is a tool that enables us to see the action that we're avoiding from a very different perspective, to actually realize that there are lots of other ways to see selling from, but the current perspective that you're seeing it from, it feels so icky, cheesy, desperate, whatever those variables are. But there are so many other ways from which you can choose to see the same topic. And that's what would be of service to you. We're not going to solve the world's problem here in one day, but one offer is to know and trust, like what would to know and trust that you are doing this to be of service, to offer this gift to other people. And if they don't say yes, that has nothing to do with you. Or maybe there's an opportunity to do it differently. Maybe you didn't share the right story. Maybe, you know, the time wasn't, there are variables to consider, but trust has nothing to do with you. Does that make sense?
Totally. And I hear it, and I've heard Sylvia say it to me, but hearing it and feeling it. Internalizing it. Thank you. When, you know, I think it's part of our culture. I think it's the way that.
These are all excuses.
Oh.
I only say that because I am just like every single one of you. And it takes time, but it's practicing. You have to practice. And if you hesitate or shy away from even being exposed to that, you're going to be here same time next year. But here's the opportunity also is you are prioritizing, you know, making them feel uncomfortable maybe, you know, worrying about that, not putting somebody in an awkward space or whatever it is. You're worried about them over your family, your needs, your dreams, your hopes, your vision. What's more important to you? Getting a little bit uncomfortable and unlearning the messages that we've learned from the past that aren't serving us, or prioritizing what's so important to you in your life. Every time you choose to shy away, you are prioritizing somebody else over you, your family, your hopes, your dreams.
Wow.
And this is a beautiful thing about this life in which we live. The details around us are not going to change. You're not going to have people lining up outside of your door, knocking on your window, saying, put me in, I want a piece of what you do. It's only how you choose to see and navigate it and feel about it. And that's a beautiful thing, is that it's all about just changing your perspective on how you feel about selling or how you feel about rejection. It doesn't have to mean anything about you. Does that make sense?
It does. So what are the tools
Mm-hmm.
to change that perspective?
Well, if you want, I have a strategy session that I'm happy to share with you. And there's a program that I think may be of service to you, and it's called a toolkit. And I know some of other people on Sylvia's team. It's called Your Power Toolkit. And it's just a 5-week virtual program. It's a call. And that's where we learn all of the different specific tools to keep in our back pocket, to pull out and rely on to change our habits, until you don't have to rely on the tools anymore. And then it becomes your new autopilot. Does that make sense?